What's up, duelists? It's your boy Justin, here with your boy Jim for another deck profile. Shoutouts to my boy Ramiro and Matthew Tang for letting me borrow the cards for this tournament. Also shout out to Format Library for keeping me in the game during COVID, because honestly I really needed that. And this intro is Keegan, so yeah.
Awesome. Did you see what you played?
Right. I played Unchained, and I top eighted at Next Level Gamers Den's Braid tournament, 6th place, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's get into the list.
All right. So for those of you who are boomers, this deck is basically Mystic Control Turbo. You run a bunch of these small Unchained monsters, and they flow every time they're destroyed by battle or card effect. That's like the archetypal mechanic for the small ones. You have an extender. This one that summons you from hand by destroying one of your own cards. You have one that's a kind of like an interrupt. A quick effect destroys one of your own cards. And then the latest twin is this one, Surama, which lets you set any Unchained card, spell, trap, or monster. There's no spells. There's one spell that you don't play, but yeah, and then it pops one. So this one generates resource advantage. So you want to max out on those because they, like Mystic Tomato, they tag off on the deck, so you want to be able to keep constantly cycling through them over and over again. There's two boss monsters for the Unchained deck in the main deck. You have the big Blue Eyes White Dragon dude, and you have Linky Boy. So Blue Eyes White Dragon, when the Blue Eyes White Dragon is summoned, you can discard a card to non-targeting, which is very important. Destroy any card on the field. You can only summon one copy of it per turn, but during the end phase, if it was destroyed this turn, it floats back from the graveyard, unlike the other ones which float back immediately. But because you can only summon once per turn, the turn you summon it, you have to wait until the opponent's turn before it can revive. But it honestly just being like floating into a big beater, like the just big Blue Eyes White Dragon, that's its most common use case. It's really good doing damage stuff. The link one is also really important. It targets one of your opponent's monsters, and you can link summon using it into a dark link monster. Unlike the other Unchained, it floats from graveyard, which is nice because you can save like the number of Unchained in your deck, increase your chance of drawing them later. And it's it's a form of interaction that's not a pop, which this deck is very, very tense in. Yeah. You run through the Rhoda. The Rhoda that can search Unchained spells, traps, or monsters, unlike a lot of other Rhodas. And also it floats when it's popped. So if you open two of them, and then like either red or blue that can pop them, you can use one of them to search another Unchained spell or trap, and then you can set the other one to pop with your red and blue for another free body. Traps, you have a good old Unchained Call the Haunted. It's a Call of the Haunted. It's Call Haunted. It can summon from hand as well. It floats when it's destroyed. And then you have Unchained Scrap Dragon. So this targets one monster, face-up Unchained card on your side of the field and one card on the opponent's side of the field. Pops them both. Like the other Unchained back row, it also floats when it's destroyed. I used to only run 2 of this one. I upped it to 3 because I think like this one you want to see as many Unchained cards as possible. And also because like I think it's really important to make sure that you have at least one Unchained trap, Call the Haunted or Scrap Dragon in the graveyard, so you can just keep looping it with Surama, who can just keep resetting it over and over again, so you get a continuous chain of interruptions. So I want to see as much as possible. Okay. Most Unchained decks tend to run Extrav. I'm running Prosperity. Reason being, I'm opting for, in this specific build, I was opting to use some of the extra deck space for Super Poly. Also, the other reason I wanted to use it was because I figured it was more important to dig deeper. I wanted to, rather than just seeing random cards, I wanted to dig deeper to see specific cards, specifically the traps. I wanted to set up the full Unchained engine. This build is very heavy on hand traps, and a lot of the hand traps are ones that only work at the beginning, or like when your opponent's just initially setting up, and they're not as great when like you're on turns 2 or 3. Because this build is blind second, that's what's going to happen a lot. So like the hand trap lineup, like you're running triple shifter, like best hand trap of the format, right? You don't want to see multiple. So like if you extract into more shifters, it's bad. Other hand trap you're running like Troll, like all of these, like you don't really want to see beyond like the first initial turn, like your opponent's turn, or maybe like, yeah, just like the initial opening 5. So that's why like you have like worse X-Trap draws.
Did you draw Shifter a lot?
Yeah, I drew Shifter, and like the only time it was bad was against Sword Soul. I dodged the Flunder matchup, luckily. This deck isn't that great against Flunder, or this build isn't. But yeah, against every other deck, it's just like a turn ender. Against Virtual World, they can't summon the Virtual World guys. Against Prank Kids, You let them get into the Meow Mirror, you drop it, they can't fusion anymore because they only float when they go to the graveyard. It just, yeah, shit, you all know the stupid card for the stupid format, you know? Yeah.
Definitely game ender.
Droll is like the next best hand trap. What I really liked about it was relevant versus Flunders, which I wanted like something good for Flunders. Gamma. So this card is. I ran this card because there was another hand trap because this deck was heavy on hand traps. I wanted a hand trap that could work both first and second by being the 6th card in the way that Imprim works or Ogre, but I think at least like for this event, like it ended up clogging more than was useful. It did win me 1 game against a Sword Soul player. But overall, like I also think a lot of people playing around it. I think Eric in his video also said that he was explicitly playing around Gamma. In the future, I think I would cut Gamma at least for like this until I figure out Despia a bit better. Ghost Ogres. I was on 2 of Ghost Ogre. I'd probably play 3. It can clog a bit. It doesn't work under shifter because since graveyard has cost. But it's still like a really good hand trap, and it works going first and second. And because of the Gamma issue, like I would like to up the number of hand traps are relevant first and second as a 6 draw. I would up it to 3. Imperm. Even though I cited out like a lot, like almost like every game, I still think it's good in main deck in high hand trap count builds, just because it works well going first or second, and as a 6 card. Yeah, it's just very versatile. Being able to like let you like if you just shifter them, like you don't have to like stop their like combo or anything. You can wait till they get to a boss monster and then like barrel on you most commonly, and you just improve it so you can like do your play. The aforementioned Super Poly. Yeah, this card really underperformed at the event. I think until Despia's, I would like stop putting aside. There just weren't many opportunities for me to super poly their board. Like their end boards were like often like Changing Baron, just not like Dragon's Pillar material, not a Mud Dragon material. They usually never got that far, and there was like some kind of conflict with like draw and shifter hand traps, which prevent your opponent from playing at all. So they don't have an established board. Like you can set it for next turn interrupt, but like against Brave, right? They'll just like bounce it back, and then Brave you can't really super poly their board unless they already have something else out. So it wasn't like doing its intended purpose. Gadola, on the other hand, overperformed. I would run. I have a copy of it in the side 1 in main. I would run a second copy in main. Yeah, because of the hand traps which like lead to simplify board states. Gadola is just great to take out the 1 boss monster, the 1 negate. It's also really important with how a lot of people end their boards in defense position, especially against 2 and 3. The Kaiju 7 attack positions, that gives you free body to crash into. Yeah. For the extra deck, again, this is a bit weirder because I'm on Prosperity instead of Extrav, but for the Unchained ratios, I'm on 2 of the little blue dog, 1 the Link 3, blue dog is Link 2, and then 1 the Link 4. So the way the Link 2 works is you can either summon it using like the big Dinky dog that lets you link with the opponent's monster, or you can manually make it using 2 of your monsters. Its ability is it lets you link with one of the opponent's special summon monsters during their main phase. These 2, the Link 2 and Link 3, they all flow back from the graveyard. The Link 3 can also link using one of their monsters, but it also only works during your turn. One of the strongest dupes you can set with the board is just constantly cycling once you get to the Link 2, you can just because the main deck Linky Dog like it revives from the graveyard when it's destroyed. Once you get to this, you can just revive this with Surama, set it, destroy it, and keep bringing back the Link every turn. So every turn that your opponent has to deal with, you link your one of their monsters into something else in the extra deck. Yeah. Link 4, I summon it like once or twice. It's nice to clean up some boards. It doesn't come up often. You don't have to run it, but I think it's nice to have. I know a lot of people on Unchained Discord really like this, but yeah, it's fine. It doesn't usually come up. Dark, honestly, most of the time Dark was coming up as like the 3rd copy of the Unchained Soul in the grind games. That's mostly what I used it for. It can revive DP, yes, but I found like this build at least usually stops the opponent from getting to DP. Yeah, it's nice that it floats as well, like kind of like a fake Unchained. It floats from deck and adds to hand a small Dark monster. You just add Surama, and that gets you back to your full engine, or like even better because Surama, which is like which can plus with the Unchains. Unicore comes up a lot. A lot of people don't expect it. The Link monsters, they just specify that you have to summon a Dark Link monster. And Unicorn is a Dork Link monster, so you can take away one of their monsters with the Link 2, and then immediately summon this Discord, spin away one of their dudes. I did that versus a Tri-Brigade player. Yeah, most people just don't expect it, but it's basically just like how the way IP works. The Unchained also do have effects that Fiend lock you, so it is also nice that the Nightmare Unicorn is a Fiend. Access code. I went into this never. You can use it for removal in this deck, but mostly you just use it for the finishing blow to the opponent. This deck has an annoying problem where like the main OTK combo it does can only like on an empty board basically do 7,500 damage. So it's very easy for this deck like fall flat of OTK. So just having like 5,300 you can make your access code using the Link 3 is just nice for the kill pressure. But again, it didn't come up at the tournament. Underworld Goddess, because some people kept making BOS Link type monsters. Some of our locals made like the Nephis Link 3, which couldn't be targeted or destroyed by card effects or by battle, and it has 4,800 attacks, so I couldn't out it. And so this is just a contingency plan, just in case they make some they try to just sit on Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. I think during remote duel YCS I lost a round because of time, but they just turboed Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon using wake up magic, and I would have had no out to it, but I couldn't have made Underworld Goddess. So yeah, with extra you wouldn't run it, but with Prosperity it's nice to just have as a one of. We run the Omega as the Gamma Synchro as the Gamma payout for resolving Gamma on your turn. I think sometimes it does come up where they. Usually it's just Dogmatica, right? Sometimes they dump the Omega to the graveyard and shuffling back something from the graveyard, usually the DP. You can shuffle back Shadal stuff if you want to force the Schism activation, etc. That can come up. Verte. Again, Link's only summon Dark Link monsters, right? Verte is a Dark Link. You're not using him for DP, you're using him for Super Poly. It hasn't came up. I thought it would. So in the future I would cut it for sure. It doesn't float, Yeah. It's just really not necessary. Yeah. The Super Poly targets, you have the regular ones, you have Starving Venom, you have Dragos Stapelia, and Mudragon. That's pretty self-explanatory. The weird ones were, I would run Earth Golem at Ignister, just in case some people were on the Cybers decks. Not like Cybers Eldritch, but Salad, there were some Salad players at the locals I know of prior, and maybe if there was a random Ignister player, I guess. Playing against Cybers Eldritch, I realized, oh yeah, they do the standard Cybers combo, and they get to Link Disciple, Link Devotee. You can Super Poly those two and then custom off the Link engine. The last weird Super Poly token is Guilty Gearfree, the Magical Knight. So it's two warriors with different names. So matchups it's relevant against are heroes. It's very good against heroes. Very, very good against heroes. But mostly it was there in case people ended on Baron and DP. Again, a Super Poly problem, because of the number of hand types I was running, they didn't generally get to an established board, so I wasn't able to summon it. But if you read its effects, they're pretty good. It can attack twice. It has targeting protection. You can target it with your own Unchained cards to trigger this targeting protection, pop one of their cards, but yeah, didn't summon it. Side deck option. A lot of the side decisions were relatively last minute. I talked with Ramiro and Matthew about it the night before the event. I think overall a lot of their decisions were right. The most important one was running triple Sanctum instead of just 2 on 2 because I felt I didn't need it, and then cutting the Lancia from 3 to 1, and then 1 Scythe. So what's nice about Sanctum is yes, when you go first, you can just flip it and just auto win. But because this deck is blind second, there are a lot of times where your opponent's gonna oh, I don't know how this deck works first. Maybe they're weaker first, and then you can just sign Sanctum. Not only because of the auto win thing if they do choose to make you go first, but going second it's not bad because you can a lot of people are scared of the Unchained back row and they end up trying to pop it and then you just end up chaining it. Yeah. Double Gozen. Even though this deck has different attributes, a lot of them are dark. This deck can pretty much play under any of the floodgates, as long as you know they're coming, except maybe Skill Drain, but Skill Drain doesn't stop them from floating. Gozen was mostly, I want a floodgate that stopped Flunder. I was on there could only be 1 before, but I also want a floodgate that could stop Brave. Gozen covers both bases. I ended up siding it a few times, but I don't think I often sided both copies of it. And I didn't see it. That was like the main thing. So I don't know how good this ended up being, but like in theory, it's pretty good. Double Solemn didn't end up siding it once. It was for the Flender matchup because I'm really scared of Flenders. I didn't side to anything else. And I realized from this event, like, the time rules, paying life points can really suck for this card. I don't know if I run Solemn in the future. Lightning Storm, this came up a lot. A lot of decks just end up, most decks end up now on Monsters of Back Row. Being able to, like, pick between the two is nice. You can sometimes force a negate. It's awkward because most against Unchained, right? Games 2 and 3 when you're starting, most of them, they just put the monsters in defense position. So this ends up being like Hobie's Feather Duster, basically. Like, I still end up siding it because it has a versatility. Sometimes people forget and misplay, put something in attack position. Yeah. The versatility is the nicest part about it. I don't know if I run it still, but it was easy to side in. Cyclone, originally this was third Lightning Storm. I ended up cutting for a Cyclone. I'm glad I did. Like, Cyclone came in a lot because it was like, most decks, again, like have back row or whatever. So it's just nice to like just quick fire this, and then like get rid of the like Faithful Adventure, get rid of their against pranks, right? Get rid of their prank confusion during the standby phase before they can activate it. It works going first or second as well, so they make you go first. Like being quick play is like so helpful. Caught by the Grave as well came in a lot, worked well going first and second. Only reason I'm not running it in main is because it conflicts with Shifter. But yeah, it stops DP going second, stops floating going first. It then makes you go first, stops the hand traps. Just all around good card. Feather Duster didn't side in once, but it was for like the heavy backward matchups because I found I was having a really rough time with Altergeists, and I was worried about Striker being there, but I didn't see any. Matthew was on Striker, but I didn't see any Striker or much of it. Didn't side it in. Don't know if I would run it in the future for like a competitive event, but yeah, because like this deck has a pretty favored matchup versus like pure Eldritch, so it really doesn't need it for that. It also like doubles down on the popping thing, which is like redundant. So I might try a second Cyclone. I might even try MST. There was like during like the tournament, like a lot of people were on Cyclones, and a common incident was like me trying to pop one of my cards, and they would change cycle to it. So MST has like the versatility of Cyclone working like first or second to interrupt like a Faithful Adventure or like killing like the Prinket's fusion during the standby phase. But you can also chain it in response to the opponent's Cyclone to pop your own back row. And I think that could come up, so I would experiment with that. Second Godola, as I said, Godola was a total house. I would run the second one in main, honestly, going forward. Yeah, just like once you get the bolster with some like game state, you just get rid of the one negate with this, have free body crash into, summon Linky Dog, link the dog with this, get to your link 2, yeah, and that basically gets you to like your full quote unquote end board engine.
All right. Thank you for the deck profile, Justin. Congrats on your top. Is there anything else you want to say about the deck?
Somehow like no matter what format, no matter how shit I think it is, like this deck somehow ends up being able to survive through it. I don't know how. You can either like it's so versatile being able to type between like hand traps and traps. I think for upcoming Despia format, I'm going back on traps, but yeah.
Yeah. Definitely for sure. Any deck that can play Shifter, right?
Yeah, any deck. It has Shifter. Yeah, this format has Shifter. Yeah,
for sure. Awesome. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, guys. Comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Peace. Okay.